Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. Today is Wednesday, April the 22nd. It is 12:52 in the afternoon. We're going to start off with a sound saying coming from Deuteronomy 1 verse 17. And it says, "Ye shall not be afraid of the face of man, for the judgment is God." Ye should not be afraid of the face of man, because the judgment is God. Okay? The back is coming from Revelation chapter 3 verse 20, and it says, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in." Okay? Yesterday I went over some review words, and I guess I ran out of the space on my iPad. So we didn't get very far in Hebrews 12. So I'm going to continue because it's not a very long verse. It's only 29, and I'm going to start off with 5 because that's the one I think I left off with. And let's begin. It says, "And ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children, my son. Despise not thou the chastising of the Lord, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him." We are not to be hateful towards God when he chastises us, in the same way that we are not to be hateful towards our parents when they chastise us, because they chastise us out of love, and God does the same thing out of love for his sons and daughters. He will chastise us. Okay, 6, "For whom the Lord loveth, he chastises and scorneth every son whom he receiveth." Okay, so let's take 4 and 5 from here, because they're 5 and 6 from here, because they are love. And it says, "And you have forgotten the word of encouragement that addresses you as sons. My son, do not make light of the Lord's discipline, and do not lose heart when he rebukes you." 6, "Because the Lord disciplines those he loves, and he punishes everyone he accepts as a son." Okay? So he is only being a good father indeed, and he is a better father to us than our earthly parents could ever be. Okay, not that our earthly parents aren't significant, because they are very significant, very, very. You are to love your parents, whether your parent raised you or whether your parent gave you away. Their parent is still your parent, and you should have the same love for them regardless. Okay? Verse 7 is that split verse I was talking about. Part pink for witnessing comes first. And it says, "If you endure chastising, God dealeth with you as with son." If you endure the chastising, he is dealing with you as his very own child. The yellow part for family says, "For what son is he whom the father chastises not?" Okay, verse 8 is all pink for witnessing. "But if ye be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then ye are bastards and not sons." Okay, verse 9, which is another split verse, yellow coming first this time. "Furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh which corrected us, and we gave them reverence." Yes, we do reverence our parents all the time. We should reverence our parents all the time. However, that level of reverence for our elders has diminished greatly because of the times. Furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh which corrected us and we gave them reverence. The pink part says, "Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Father of spirits and live?" Verse 10, again another split verse, yellow coming first. For they rarely for a few chastises us after their own pleasures. The pink part says, but he for our profit, and we might be partakers of his holiness. Okay, so let's take it from 7 to 10. Endure hardship as discipline. God is treating you as sons. For what son is not disciplined by his father? 8. If you are not disciplined, then you are illegitimate children and not true sons. 9. Moreover, we have all had human fathers who disciplined us, and we respected them for it. How much more shall we submit to the Father of our spirit and live? Verse 10, verse 11 to 14 is read for discipleship. Now no chastising for the present seemeth to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yieldeth the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereof. So yes, it may be hard chastising your child at the moment, but if you continue to do that which is righteous in the sight of God regarding chastising your children, then peace will be the reward that you will receive as a parent. Okay, let me read that again. No chastising for the present seem to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterwards it yieldeth the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. 12. Wherefore lift up the hands which hang down, and the feeble knees. 13. And make straight paths for your feet, lest that which is lame be turned out of the way, but let it rather be healed. 14. Follow peace with all men, and holiness, without which no man should see the Lord. 11 to 14. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. So if you're disciplining your child and it does bring about the intended behavior or conduct, then your child has been trained. That's what that means. That means you have trained that child. You have taught that child. You have set that child. You have strengthened that child, and which will give you peace in the later years. Okay? So later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. Okay? 12. Therefore, strengthen your feeble arms and weak knees. Make level paths for your feet, so that the lame may not be disabled, but rather healed. 14. Warning against refusing God. Make every effort to live in peace with all men and be holy. Without holiness, no one will see the Lord. 15 and 16 and 17 is black for sin. Look diligently, lest any man fail of the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness springing up troubles you, and thereby may be defiled. Look diligently, lest any man fail of the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness springing up trouble you, and thereby many be defiled. Yes, these roots of bitterness can make their way into high places, and in their efforts to bring about change in the world, the change that they bring about is often a change that defiles the nation. Okay, so this is the bitter roots that we have allowed to make it to our government, make it to our Supreme Courts, and these bitter roots have produced laws that go against the laws of God. These bitter roots are the roots behind same-sex marriages. These bitter roots are the roots behind sex changes, which should be something that should be outlawed, period. Okay, and this is what the bitter roots are, and and whatever they enact are laws that further defile the nation morally. Okay, looking diligently, lest any man fail of the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness spring up, trouble you, and thereby many be defiled. Okay, 16, lest there be any fornicators or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. 17 is silver, so we won't read that with 16 and 15 and 16. Let's do 15 and 16. Make every effort to live in 15. See to it that no one misses the grace of God and that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many. Like I said, these bitter roots can be people who manage to get into high places and implement laws that help the country or the nations to defile God further. Okay, 16, see that no one is sexually immoral or is godless like Esau, who for a single meal sold his inheritance right as the oldest son. Okay, so these are bitter roots we need to remove from office. Okay, and we need to repeal any of the laws that they have implemented. And the very first law should be the banning of all sex changes, and the second law should be the repealing of same-sex marriages. 16, least be any fornicators or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. 17 is history. For ye know that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected, for he found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears. Yes, a blessing is a blessing, and it can only be given once. You cannot give that blessing twice. So regardless of how hard Esau cried, his father could not bless him again because the blessing had already been given to his brother. Okay, 17 from here. Afterwards, as you know, when he wanted to inherit this blessing, he was rejected. He could not bring about no change of mind, though he sought the blessing with tears. That's right. It only comes once. Okay, so when we are passing through from one world to the next and our children are near us, we tend to put our hands upon our children and bless them. We cannot take a blessing that we have given one and give it to another. No, it doesn't work like that. Each child gets their own blessing, but he would have gotten an even bigger blessing had he not surrendered that which was truly his for a simple meal. Okay, 18, 19, 20, and 21 are all up for commandments. And what do we know about commandments? These are rules that we ought to follow. We don't have a choice about it. Okay, 18, for ye are not come into the mount that might be touched and that burned with fire, nor into blackness and darkness and temperance. 19, and the sound of a trumpet and the voice of words, which voice they did heard entreated that the word shall not be spoken to them anymore. 20, for they could not endure that which was commanded. And this is the uppercase lettering in this verse, verse 20. If so much as a beast touched the mountain, it should be stoned or trusted through a dark. And now in those days, when a rule was given, that rule was also enforced to the fullest. Okay, when Achan was driven out of his tent, and all of his stuff was brought out in the open, his wife, his children, his animals, his belongings, all of it was stoned. They were all stoned. Okay, that judgment came immediately. It is not like today where you can get the death sentence and live 5, 9, 10 years beyond your victim. That is not true justice. True justice is when you are given the death penalty and you are taken to a wall immediately and shot. That's justice. Okay, 20. For they could not endure that which was commanded, and if so much as a beast touched the mountain, it should be stoned or thrust through with a dart. 21. And so terrible was the sight that Moses said, I exceedingly feared and quaked. Yes, the voice of God can be a voice unlike any other voice you've ever heard, and it can be quite frightening. Okay, because it can sound like wave, it can sound like thunder, but you can surely make out what he is saying. Okay, 18 to 21. You have not come to a mountain that can be touched and that is burning with fire, to darkness, gloom, and storm. 19. To a trumpet blast, or to such a voice speaking words that those who heard it begged that no further word be spoken to them. 20. Because they could not bear what was commanded. If even an animal touched the mountain, it must be stoned. 21. The sight was so terrifying that Moses himself said, I am trembling with fear. Okay, and it wasn't that often that Moses trembled with fear. He was one of the most courageous men in the biblical time. And just for him to take on the task of addressing Pharaoh took a very courageous man to deal with the Pharaoh, because God had created the Pharaoh for his intended purpose. Okay, 22, 23, and 24 is blue for salvation. But ye are come unto Mount Zion, and unto the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, and to an innumerable company of angels. 23, to the general assembly and church of the firstborn, which are written in heaven, and to God the judge of all, and to the spirit of just men made perfect. 24, and to Jesus the mediator of the new covenant, and to the blood of sprinkling that speaketh better things than that of Abel. Okay, 22 to 24. But you have come to Mount Zion, to the heavenly Jerusalem, the city of the living God. You have come to thousands upon thousands of angels in joyful assembly. 23. To the church of the firstborn, whose name was written in heaven. You have come to God, the judge of all men, to the spirit of righteous men made perfect. 24. To Jesus, the mediator of a new covenant, and to the sprinkled blood that speaks a better word than the blood of Abram. 25 is silver for history. See that ye refuse not him that speaketh, for if they escape not who refuses him that speaketh on earth, and much more shall not we escape if we turn away from him that speaketh from heaven. See that ye refuse not him that speaketh, for if we escapeth not who refused him that speaketh on earth, much more shall not we escape if we turn away from him that speaketh from heaven. Let's read it from here. 25. See to it that you do not refuse him who speaks. If they did not escape when they refused him who warned them on earth, how much less will we if we turn away from him who warned us from heaven. Amen. 26 is gold. 26 and 27 is gold for prophecy, whose voice then shook the earth, but now he has promised, saying, uppercase lettering, yet once more I shake not the earth only, but also heaven. Amen. 27, and this word, here comes uppercase lettering, yet once more, signifies the removing of those things that are shaken, as of the things that are made, that those things which cannot be shaken may remain. Amen. 26 and 27. At that time, his voice shook the earth. It did. It shook the earth it shook. It